Welcome back. Yesterday, when I was teaching my children how to checkmate with just a queen, I realized I might as well make a video about this because many beginners could benefit from this as well. If you don't know how to do this and you have the queen, it's incredibly frustrating to continuously check the opponent's king and not be able to checkmate them. Hopefully I can teach this in just a few minutes, then you can feel free to practice it as long as you want. The three ideas are important here. One is, if it helps you relax, remember that you cannot lose in this position because the opponent just has a king. They can't check you, they can't chase your king, they can't win. The worst outcome you can have with this is a draw or a stalemate, which is a type of draw. Second thing to remember is with just our queen, we cannot checkmate the opponent in the middle of the board or even near the edges of the board. We actually have to get the enemy king on the edge of the board, either the A file, the H file, the first rank, or the 8th rank. We have to force the enemy king to one of those edges and then checkmate. And the third thing to remember is that the queen can't do it by herself, no matter where the enemy king is. We need to bring our king too. Okay, now, I like to think of this as drawing a box. I'm not the first one that thought of this. It's not my idea or original to me. But wherever the queen sits on the board, she controls all the ranks and files, the entire rank upon which she sits, the entire file upon which she sits. We're assuming an empty board, as well as the diagonals. That's a lot of space controlled by one piece. But the main thing I want to think of is the box that it's drawing around the enemy king, because it now cannot move out of this box. And we want to make this box smaller, which helps force the king toward the edge of the board. It doesn't matter that much where you draw the box or how you draw it, as long as it gets smaller incrementally, and as long as you don't do something silly like set your queen next to the king where it can capture you. Okay, back to the original position. We could draw the box smaller by moving the queen here, which would make a new box here. Or we could move her here, which would cut off this entire file and leave the king with only 3 files to play with. Doesn't matter. We can move her here. Lots of choices. Okay, I like this one. It draws a small box here of 12 squares that the enemy king is trapped in, 3 of which can't be accessed because the queen also controls the diagonal. So right here, the enemy king is left with only 2 choices. And if they know we're trying to force them to the edge of the board, they won't choose this one, they will choose this one. Now we can draw the box a little bit smaller. We can go here to draw the box smaller. We can go here. We just don't want to go to that square because, again, they will capture us. So here, we're protected by our own king, and now the box has been shrunk to 9 squares, 3 of which are cut off by our queen, leaving the king only 2 choices of where to move. Either one is getting closer to the edge. Whichever one the king chooses, we want to then move our queen to draw the box smaller and trap the king closer to the edge or the corner. So let's say it chooses this one. Now we can move our queen this way. Again, we don't want to move her next to the king where it can be captured. But now the king is trapped on 2 files because of this box. And of course, the diagonal is cut off as well, leaving the king only a handful of choices for its next move, 2 of which are on the edge of the board. Now, if the enemy king chooses one of the 2 moves that are on the edge of the board, we will move here, trapping it on the edge. If it chooses this one, which I assume that's what the opponent would do, we've still got it trapped on those 2 files. We can move our king closer. Now, we don't want to move our king into this line of fire at any point, because then our king would prevent our queen from accessing those squares, and the enemy can get out of the box. But we can bring it closer beside this force field that the queen is setting up. Okay, now they have to move again. Now we can bring our king again. They have to move again, and now we can bring our queen again. And this only allows 2 possible moves, and both are on the edge of the board, which is where we wanted to trap the king. Now again, it doesn't matter if we trap them on the back rank, the side file, the other side file, or our first rank. Whichever one they move to, we want to trap them on the edge. And now they only have 2 squares that they can shuffle back and forth between. So they have to move here. We bring our king, and now it doesn't matter. I mean, they only have one legal move, but it really doesn't matter. Even if they could stay there for a turn, we will checkmate them here. Because any square where the king is on any edge of the board, if we have a protected square right next to it, we can checkmate with the queen. For example, if we had a pawn in this position and our king was somewhere else, the pawn would be protecting our queen, and that would be a checkmate. In this position, if we had a knight here and our king was somewhere else, that would be checkmate. So back to the original position. Again, it doesn't matter where we draw the box or how we draw the box, as long as we make the box incrementally smaller with each turn. We want to trap the king as much as possible near the edge of the board. It doesn't matter where it goes at this point. We draw this box a little smaller, and if it ever moves to the edge, we trap it there. If it ever moves to the edge, we trap it on the edge, and then we bring our king. Again, we do not block off this force field with our king, so wherever the king goes, that's checkmate. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. If you didn't know that before, you know it now. Feel free to practice against Stockfish or against a friend. Both of my children, after I taught them this yesterday, were able to defeat the strongest Stockfish level on Lichess. In this position, we're able to checkmate successfully. So once you learn this, it's really handy to know, especially in endgames where you just have a king and a pawn. When that pawn promotes to a queen, now you know how to use it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.